Hi, my name is Joseph, and I'm a PhD student at Washington State University. And today I want to talk to you about how to write a very good introduction for your research papers or your research proposals. So, if you're that type of a person who would approach your research proposal or paper from the perspective that no one else has done it, you are interested in finding out if X causes Y, you found a gap in the literature that you want to fill, and that is the reason why you want to write a paper or you want to engage in a particular research, you might probably not get the shot that you want. Probably you're seeking for admissions into a master's or PhD program, or you want to publish a paper, or you want to get good grades on an assignment. Writing your introduction just because no one else has done it, it's not good reason to write a research paper. That is outmoded. And I want to show you a new approach. So you'd want to situate the introduction of your research paper or your research proposal in a research puzzle. A research puzzle is some complexities in the real world that contradicts what we already know or contradicts existing literature, right? So there is something that we already know about some phenomena in the world, or something that we think that explains how a particular relationship evolves. Or we also know in the literature that probably some scholars have found out that X causes Y, but how come in the real world there's some contradiction in certain cases? And we want to find out what explains these contradictions, right? Whichever field that whichever field that you research in, this applies to you. You want to do research that shows some sort of complexity in the real world, different from what we know, and you want to explain how these complexities evolved, and not just say if you're interested in just X and Y. So a typical example, and because I'm a political scientist, I would usually use an example from political science. But a typical example is the relationship between democracy and economic development. So not everybody, but a lot of people would agree that democracy is good, right? And because democracy allows citizens to contribute to governance, probably a country that accepts democracy would want to do what the people want, and the people want jobs, the people want economic development and all those kind of things. So probably democracy leads to economic development. And in the existing literature, there are several papers that also talks about the effects of democracy on economic development. So your research puzzle will be, why is it that some countries in Africa, for instance, and Asia are still poor even though they are democratic? What explains the variation between the effects of democracy in Africa and Asia as compared to other democracies with regards to economic development? Why can't we experience the same dividends of democracy in some cases as compared to the others? Now, this is a research puzzle because it is complex. If democracy is good, why is it not good for some but good for others, right? So even though no one has done this research paper or something like that, or no one has researched on this, that is not the reason why you want to do it. You want to do it because if such complexities exist, we want to understand, everyone will be interested in understanding the variation between these cases. So you want to provide an explanation to these complexities in the real world. You want to provide knowledge that helps us understand the actual dividends of democracy. And that is how you want to approach your research paper, from the perspective of a puzzle, something that is puzzling, something that is complex, something that we don't understand, that we want to explain, right? And if you were to write a research paper like that, as compared to someone else who would say, well, I want to write on democracy and economic development. Some scholars have done this and this and this and this, but no one has done this. So I want to do it. Or there's a gap in the literature I want to fill. Probably no one is filling that gap in the literature because the topic doesn't make sense or the topic is not interesting enough, right? So you want to explain why this complexity is something that limits our understanding of the relationship that you are interested in, and how contributing to that particular field of that particular field would advance knowledge or would help us understand that relationship. So in this same example, I would say that if we understood how democracy operates in some countries that are still poor as compared to rich countries that are democratic, then we would be able to help these countries that are poor enhance on one or two things that helps them to get the same dividends that democracy gives to other regimes. So for example, if it was about, let's say, freedom of speech or clean elections or something else that I think that makes democracies better, then we could help these poor countries improve on those aspects of democracy so that they can also get the same results. So my contribution to the field is then I want to help explain the dividends of democracy. And by doing that, we can help the countries that are lacking to be able to step up their game or things like that. So your research puzzle talks about something that is complex, something that baffles our mind, something that is puzzling about the real world, whilst demonstrating why contributing to understanding that relationship is very important. If you could do this, your research paper would be very interesting to read. And I advise that you do this right when you start writing your paper, right? So don't start with talking about what the existing literature is. You want to just zoom in into the complexities of the real world so that the reader immediately understands that there is some sort of agency here. And I want to continue reading this paper and find out how this researcher or this student seeks to contribute to the field in this regard. If you could write your research papers using this type of introductions, I bet that your research papers will really go far. So when do you start? Start now. Is it easy? No. It comes with practice. It's gonna take some time to get into the mood of writing very good research puzzles. So you'd also need some sort of substantive knowledge, right? Because you can't write a very good research puzzle if you don't really know your case. You don't really know the topic. You don't really know how the topic contradicts from what we know about the world or what existing literature is. So you should do some research about your topic, especially going beyond what the articles and papers have said to even looking in newspapers, look in look inside blogs, listen to interviews, documentaries, and just open up to knowledge from different sources that helps you really understand the complexity of your topic so you can present it exactly how it is in the real world. All right, so that is great. Let's get to it and let's start writing very good research papers using this approach to your introduction. See you in the next video. Bye.